ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। In this session, we'll be discussing from the 15th and the 16th verses of the 7th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. First, the 15th verse. Mata shishunam nidhanam sutanam nishamya ghoram paritapyamana tada rudad Vashpakala kulakshi tam santvayan aha kiritamali. The meaning of this verse: Draupadi, the mother of the 5 children of the Pandavas, after hearing of the massacre of her sons, began to cry in distress with eyes full of tears. Trying to pacify her in her great loss, Arjuna spoke to her thus. So in this verse, Arjuna is referred to as Kiritamali, and Arjuna is trying to pacify Draupadi. It's natural for the mother who has lost all her 5 children, not while they were fighting in the battle, but when they were unlawfully killed when they were sleeping. It is totally against Kshatriya conduct. So naturally a mother will feel very much too much distress due to the loss of her all 5 sons. And what Arjuna spoke to Draupadi to pacify her is there in the next verse, the 16th verse. Tada shuchaste pramrjami bhadre yad brahmabandho shira atatayinaha gandiva muktair vishikhair upahare tvakramya yatsnasyasi dagdhaputra. The meaning of this 16th verse: O gentle lady, here is Arjuna pacifying Draupadi. O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahmana, after beheading him with arrows from my Gandiva bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath standing on his head. So these are the words spoken by Arjuna to pacify Draupadi. That Arjuna, he understands that Ashwatthama is the son of his teacher, Dronacharya. So, the consideration that he is the son of his teacher, that consideration is lost when he has behaved in a very wrong way. And Arjuna specifically referring to Ashwatthama, the son of Dronacharya, as Brahmabandho. That means he is not a Brahmana. He is not qualified Brahmana. He doesn't have the qualification of a Brahmana. So he is called Brahmabandhu. These terms are used in the Vedic literature. Dvija Bandhu or Brahma Bandhu. Brahma Bandhu is one who has taken birth in a Brahmana family from a Brahmana father, but he himself does not qualify as a Brahmana. So such a person is called a Brahma Bandhu. Or anyone being born in a family of Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya called Dvija. They all have a second birth. But they don't qualify to themselves come to the status of Dvija. So such persons are referred to as Dvija Bandhu. In this case, Dronacharya was a Brahmana. His son Ashwatthama behaved not like a Brahmana. So he is called a Brahma Bandhu. And he is also Atatayinaha. He is an aggressor. So that is explained in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. An enemy who sets fire to the house, one who administers poison, one who attacks all of a sudden with deadly weapons, plunders wealth, or usurps agricultural fields, or entices one's wife, is called an aggressor. Atatayinaha, aggressor. Such an aggressor, though he be a Brahmana or a so-called son of a Brahmana, has to be punished in all circumstances. Punishment is due to such a aggressor, Atatayinaha. In the Bhagavad Gita also this reference is made by Arjuna that even if somebody like Bhishma and Drona may attack me, I don't want to retaliate because they are worthy of my respect. Even though they are aggressors, I don't want to retaliate. This is Arjuna's position as described in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So similarly here, Arjuna is referring to the son of Dronacharya, Ashwatthama, as Brahma Bandhu and as Atatayinaha. He is an aggressor and he is not qualified Brahmana. So, such an aggressor, who is called an aggressor? Now here, different situations under which somebody may be called an aggressor. An enemy who sets fire to the house. Even if somebody is enemy, Kshatriya code of conduct is Kshatriya should invite, challenge the enemy, and they should have a fight in a proper place according to the code of conduct for Kshatriyas. So even if there is some enmity, that doesn't justify setting fire to the house of the enemy. No. Because in that house, the other family members are also staying. So they don't deserve to be killed or they don't deserve to be harmed in any way. That is a very important consideration. So how can a Kshatriya who knows the principle set fire to somebody else's house? He becomes immediately an aggressor if he does this. Or somebody who administers poison. Enemy is killed in a proper battle, not killed by other methods, administering poison, like this beheading the children who were sleeping, so that they don't have an opportunity to defend themselves. So that is not at all acceptable. Administering poison, beheading somebody who's sleeping, this is not acceptable. Or somebody who attacks all of a sudden with deadly weapons. That means immediate death. Somebody attacks. That is also unlawful, completely unlawful. And such a person is an aggressor. One who plunders wealth, there is no provision in Kshatriya Code of Conduct for taking away forcibly the enemy's wealth. No, they cannot. Or enticing one's wife, the enemy's wife, he cannot entice. That is completely wrong. For a Kshatriya, it is completely wrong. So, such aggressors, according to Shastra, have to be punished, and there is no sin involved in giving them punishment. When Arjuna promised to behead the aggressor named Ashwatthama, he knew well that Ashwatthama was the son of a Brahmana. It's not that Arjuna was not conscious that Ashwatthama was the son of a Brahmana. He was very much aware. But then he told Draupadi, I am going to cut off the head of this Ashwatthama, because that's what he did to the 5 sons of Draupadi. When they were asleep, he cut off their heads. Now here, Arjuna is directly going to challenge Ashwatthama and take action against him. So Arjuna knows very well Ashwatthama was the son of a Brahmana. Still, he is promising Draupadi, I am going to cut off his head. Now, Prabhupada says here, the so-called Brahmana acted like a butcher. Like butcher kills some innocent animal. The animal cannot even defend itself. So similarly, this Ashwatthama has killed those 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi like a butcher only, cutting off the head. There was no question of sin in killing such a Brahmana's son who proved to be a villain. This Ashwatthama proves to be totally unqualified for being shown any mercy. So, this instance that is described here in the Bhagavatam, in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, the narration begins, Suta Goswami is narrating the history. It is very significant, and this discussion will be held in great detail about is it proper for Arjuna to kill Dronacharya's son? What kind of punishment does he deserve under the circumstances? And what are all the different considerations for either punishing him or for excusing him and not giving him certain punishment? So many considerations, and all those will be systematically presented by Vyasadeva, the author of this Bhagavatam, very nicely. But in general, the principle is, even if somebody is a Brahmana, if he misbehaves, then he deserves to be punished in accordance with the kind of violation he has done. So that is always a important consideration. In spite of the person being a son of a Brahmana or being a Brahmana himself, Brahmana has to be very, very careful how he conducts himself. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.